News Central now at this hour begins in Nigeria, where the Nigeria Labour Congress, NLC, has thrown its weight behind threats by the Nigeria Union of Petroleum and Natural Gas Workers, NUPENG, to embark on a nationwide strike over the alleged use of military personnel to eject workers from the Oritsetimeyin oil rig. A statement signed by the NLC President Joe Ajaero on Friday condemned the allegation against the military by the oil workers, adding that it stands solidly behind NUPENG. NLC threatened to escalate its response to the disputes should it breach agreements on the use of military and other security agencies to interfere in industrial relations matters continue. Ajaero's reaction comes following a lingering industrial dispute between the owners of the Oritsetimeyin oil rig and NUPENG over an alleged breach of agreements freely entered into by the two parties. However, on Thursday morning, a special naval personnel team was allegedly flown into Oritsetimeyin oil rig to eject the workers. And now to update on detained minors of the End Bad Governance protest. The minority caucus of the House of Representatives has demanded compensation for the minors recently detained for allegedly taking part in nationwide protests against the hardship brought by the 2023 fuel subsidy removal. Images of detained children sparked public outcry, with reports suggesting they were denied food while in custody. The caucus, in a statement, called for full investigation into the arrests and alleged mistreatment of the minors. It also commended President Bola Tinubu for ordering release of the children who were charged with terrorism, treason and arson. The incident has ignited widespread call for justice and accountability and the treatment of protest-related detainees. Similarly, the End Bad Governance movement has held a powerful rally in Lagos calling for release of protesters who have been detained and on trial since the nation demonstration in August. This rally is the latest show of dissent against the government's handling of the economy and its treatment of citizens. News Central's Igbalani Yomoni captured the energy and determination of the protesters in this report. I will bring you that report in the course of the news bulletin. Away from that, residents of Ruga, a community along Abuja's Airport Road, staged a protest on Friday following the recent demolition of their homes by FCT Minister Nyesom Wike. The demolitions were part of Wike's Operation Sweep initiative aimed at clearing areas in the capital reportedly linked to criminal activities. Leading the demonstration, lawyer and activist Deji Adeyanju, along with Vincent Otse, condemned the demolitions as excessive and harmful. Adeyanju described destruction as extreme, with homes burned and property worth millions lost. He called on the president to address the toll on displaced and low-income residents. Otse also said demolitions are unfairly and left many already struggling people homeless. Both activists urge authorities to reconsider such actions to ensure peace and protect vulnerable communities.
The reason why we are here is because of the ongoing massive demolition in the FCT by the Honorable Minister of FCT, Nyesom. The reason why we have come to this particular location, there are 4 different demolitions affecting thousands, more than 15,000 residents of the FCT in this location alone. You can see here children who their parents are directly affected. You can also see that there is a victim. One of the victims was shot. He's here. The media have captured. He has just been brought from the hospital. He was shot on the leg. Property worth millions of naira. Shops have been destroyed. After the demolition, the FCD and the FCTA administration, they not only did they demolish, they burned properties here. As you can see, the media can go around to verify for themselves. We have come to identify.
In the meantime, the law firm Deji Adeyanju and Partners has announced it's pulling away from representing Stephen Abuwatseya, a boat driver who was allegedly assaulted by Alex Ikweche, the House of Representatives member for Aba North-South in Abia State. A popular activist, Deji Adeyanju, shared this development on X on Friday. The alleged incident occurred on 28 October 2024 when Igwe Che reportedly assaulted Abubakar, who had arrived to deliver a package. A viral video of the altercation at Igwe Che's residence in Maitama, Abuja, shows the lawmaker repeatedly slapping and insulting Abubakar after the driver requested that Igwe Che come outside to collect delivery of snails. The incident sparked widespread condemnation from Nigerians who called for investigation, leading to Alex apologizing to the driver. However, a video released to the press on Thursday, November 7th, 2024, shows Abubakar apologizing to Igwe Che, expressing regrets for provoking the lawmaker and asking Nigerians for forgiveness. When I head to the oil sector, where we understand that oil marketers in Nigeria are refuting claims of importing substandard petrol, asserting that all imported premium motor spirit is certified by the Standards Organization of Nigeria and the Nigerian Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority. Their response follows concerns raised by Dangote Refinery, which cautioned that some dealers might be importing off-spec products and warned against using the regulation as a pretext for substandard import. Industry stakeholder Robert Dickerman confirmed that independent inspectors alongside SON and NMDPRA routinely verify import to maintain quality standards. Dickerman also highlighted a 13-year agreement with Dangote Refinery for distribution of products. A SON official reiterated the agency's commitment to quality assurance, noting that imports are tested in SON laboratory to prevent off-spec products from reaching the market. The Nigerian government has announced it will now trade crude oil and refined petroleum products in naira instead of foreign currency. Now, this major policy change aims to strengthen Nigeria's economic independence and reduce reliance on foreign exchange. At an interactive session, the Senate Committee on Finance, chaired by Senator Mohammed Sani Musa, reviewed a new directive. Musa highlighted the need for transparency in resource management, stressing that trading in naira will encourage local refinery and minimize reliance on foreign currency. He also noted that this policy, approved by the President and the Federal Executive Council, will shape Nigeria's fiscal strategy from 2024 to 2027.
Today we gather to deliberate on the pressing matters related to the sales of crude oil to domestic refineries in Nigeria, in naira, and its implication on the approved medium-term expenditure framework and fiscal strategy paper for 2024-2026, and what we should expect for 2025-2027. Additionally, we will examine shortfalls in NNPCL revenue remittances, focusing on key areas such as foreign and domestic excess crude accounts, the signature bonus account, NNPCL cash call account, and any outstanding unremitted revenue linked to under-recoveries. This meeting underscores our commitment to transparency, accountability, and the responsible management of our national resources. I am confident that with the collaboration of the Ministry of Finance under the able leadership of the Coordinating Minister of the Economy, the Office of the Accountant General of the Federation, the Central Bank of Nigeria, and Revenue Mobilization and Fiscal Commission, and other critical stakeholders present here, we will identify solutions and ensure that due process are upheld for the benefit of our economy and the Nigerian people.
And if I may just summarize the key pillars in order to restore fiscal viability, not just to NNPC in particular, but the country as a whole. There was the twin macroeconomic reforms, bold, courageous, and effective, of having petroleum motor spirit, PMS, a market-based price, market pricing of PMS, and market pricing of foreign exchange. These two pillars of the economic reform, once in place, portend additional revenue for government, recovery of the finances of NNPC, and a basis for growing the economy, a basis for attracting investment, increasing productivity, encouraging creation of jobs.
Thank you for staying with us. And now to court matters, where a Kano State High Court has issued an order to prevent federal agencies from interfering with monthly funds allocated to Kano's 44 local government councils. The ruling made on Monday by Justice Ibrahim Musa Mohammed followed an ex parte motion filed by members of the National Union of Local Government Employees, NOGE, and other concerned citizens. The court authorized 7 documents on the Accountant General's Office, Central Bank of Nigeria, Revenue Mobilization Commission, and 8 banks. Justice Mohammed's interim injunction bars these agencies from withholding or altering these funds until further court proceedings. The case, highlighting concerns over delayed local allocation, is scheduled for a November 21st hearing. And to unpack this, we're joined by Abdul Latif Abubakar Jos, editor-in-chief of Solace-based online newspaper. He joins us from Yanogwa in Bayelsa State. Good evening. Glad to have you join me on the news.
Thank you very much. Good evening.
All right. What implications could this court order have for relationship between Kano State and federal authorities over local government funding?
Thank you very much. The case, if you look at it critically, it's a preemptive move by the party and because you know, there was a court ruling, there was a court order that stopped the local government election from taking place on 26th of October. That is from a federal high court. Meanwhile, there was another court order by a Kano State High Court that granted the State Independent Electoral Commission the privilege, the right to carry out, to conduct the election. So there was this conflicting judgment, sort of. And prior to that time, there was two orders from the state high courts. One from a federal high court that said, don't do the election. 2 said, do the election. So when they conducted the election, so after conducting the election, it was a preemptive move by the parties, believing that subsequently there might be moves to stop the federal allocation from coming to the state, taking it to whereby the federal state. That was why they decided to embark on a preemptive move before there could be any move by aggrieved parties to go to court to stop the allocation of the state. So that was why they were able to get. That was why the plaintiff were able to get a court in interim ex parte order that stopped all the federal fiscal, the Attorney General, the Accountant General of the Federation, and the 8 commercial banks involved, not to stop the allocation of the state.
You talked about different court orders regarding these election for local government in Kano State. Let's talk about the impacts of this ruling, for instance, on the financial autonomy of Kano's local government. And do you think it can set a precedent for other states?
It's unfortunate that the judiciary, as we are presently, the judiciary is trying to be a clog in the wheel of progress in terms of our democracy. Because if you look at the conflicting judgment that we've been having, it's not only in Kano, it happens in Rivers, it happens in some other states like that, whereby you have conflicting judgment coming from different coordinate jurisdiction and coordinate power. So in this situation now, the Kano State government that conducted the local government election is banking on the fact that there was a state high court order that granted it the right to conduct the election. Meanwhile, there was a Federal High Court judgment that said, don't conduct the election. The Federal High Court judgment even said the composition of the State Electoral Commission was not even in order. The Federal High Court judgment dissolved even the electoral body of the state systematically, because it struck out about 5 members, including the chairman of the commission. So, and with this other one coming from the state high courts, it now shows that the courts are just giving conflicting orders, now creating the leverage for people, for government and probably parties to obey which order, to obey which order suits them, sort of. So it's very, very critical that if care is not taken, and that is why I will plead with the present CJN to try as much as possible to address most of these issues so that it doesn't create more problem. Because the Kano State plaintiff in this suit embarked on preemptive move, as I said earlier, be taking into cognizance what happened in Rivers State. As we speak right now, there's a Federal High Court ruling judgment that stops the funding, that stops the allocation of the state. Statutory allocation, monthly statutory allocation. So that was what the parties in this particular case did with that of Kano.
Well, we do hope...
that is to tell...
You go ahead,
That is to tell you that with this situation now, the judiciary is the one creating problem in this part of the democracy that we're trying to protect.
Well, we do hope our judiciary system comes up with a unified system when it comes to dispersing verdict. But thank you so much for your insight on the news. Abdul Latif Abubakar, Editor-in-Chief, Solace-based online newspaper, and you joined us from Yenogwa in Bayelsa State. Many thanks indeed. The Inspector General of Police, Kayode Egbetokun, has condemned alleged extortion by some officers of the force in some areas within the country and has ordered severe punishment for corrupt officers. He referenced the case involving officers of the Zone 16 Zone Headquarters, Yenogwa, identified as ASP Emmanuel Ubong, Inspector Nseo Okon, Inspector Adiewere Collins, and Inspector Kurumari Marin. The officers were accused of extorting the sum of 10 million naira from a group of young Nigerians. In a statement signed by Force Public Relations Officer ACP Olumuyiwa Adedugba on Friday, the police said the money has been recovered through the efforts of the new Assistant Inspector General of Police in charge of Zone 16. Adedugba also said the officers have since been detained and subjected to orderly room trial. And now to election matters, where political parties and candidates in the Ondo State have signed a peace accord ahead of the 16th November governorship election. Now, the signing, which took place on Friday at the International Culture and Event Center in Nakure, the state capital, was organized by the National Peace Committee, headed by former head of state Abdul Abubakar. Some of the parties present at the signing of the peace accord include the All Progressives Congress, People's Democratic Party, Labour Party, Action Democratic Party, and Zenith Labour Party, among others. Speaking at the event, the chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission, Mahmoud Yakubu, urged the candidates and their parties to commit to a peaceful election. Let's also tell you that an Abuja High Court on Friday dismissed a criminal summons issued by a magistrate's court against Senator Monday Okpewolo over alleged certificate forgery. Justice Charles Agbaza ruled that the summons, originally issued on September 12 by Magistrate Abubakar Mukhtar, was beyond the magistrate's legal authority. Justice Agbaza stated that the proceedings violated Okpewolo's right to a fair hearing as per the 1999 Constitution. Okpewolo, the Edo State Governor-elect, had argued that the accusations were intended to disqualify him before the recent election. His lawyer, Andrew Mwanta, highlighted that Okpewolo had already corrected discrepancies in his birthday through affidavit. Justice Agbaza agreed, ordering an end to any further proceedings on the matter and referencing previous Supreme Court decision to support the judgment. Members of the House of Representatives Committee on Ecology recently visited Lagos for a first-hand assessment of erosion-prone areas to ensure appropriate funds are being properly utilized. According to the committee chairman, the federal government is committed to the responsible allocation of ecology funds, with optimism that the state will receive approval for ecological intervention funds to address these pressing erosion challenges. Our correspondent, Bettina Unwili, has details.
The team, led by the committee's vice chairman Oyedeji Oyeshino, included Paul Namchi, Kafilat Ogbara, and Ahmed Doro. They were welcomed by an official delegation led by the Lagos State Commissioner for the Environment and Water Resources, Tokunbo Wahab, as they embarked on a tour of various erosion-prone areas. Speaking to journalists after the tour, Oyeshino explained that the team's visit to Lagos is part of a broader initiative, having already toured other states within the geopolitical zone to find lasting solutions to erosion challenges in the region.
The reason why we're doing this now is we want to see how we can change the way we use the community funds. No small amount of money can help anything. So we really need to see for ourselves and advise properly how we can go more money to the state to actually what we need to do. These are not jobs of 20 million, 200 million, these are billions of naira jobs. So what if we do not see, how do we justify?
The Commissioner for the Environment and Water Resources, Tokunbo Wahab, expressed optimism that residents of erosion-affected areas in Lagos will soon benefit from the intervention funds. He stressed the importance of federal and state government collaboration to ensure sustainable development across all areas, creating a quality living environment for all residents.
We need to get some areas that we believe need urgent intervention in the state. Erosion impacted areas. Now we are below. If we had time, we went to the west side of Lagos Island, where the Atlantic surge is affecting and wiping out lots of communities, but there's no time for we need to be for us, it's about the collaboration between states and federal. Ecological funds and intervention funds to help states bring support to people, fix ecological challenges. And I'm glad they are here. They'll take stock, and in the afternoon they'll meet the government, and they will take it off.
The areas visited include Orimolade Street off College Road, Alade Bokno Estate off Fagba Road, Songo Tollgate Bridge on the Lagos-Abeokuta Expressway, Maidan Agility area of Ketu, and Agboyi Ketu area. In Lagos, for News Central, I am Bettina Unwili.
Deputy Speaker of the House of Representatives, Benjamin Kalu, has emphasized the need for comprehensive data on internally displaced persons in Nigeria, as well as those in neighboring countries who have been left homeless by natural disasters. He made this appeal during a meeting with the Federal Commissioner for the National Commission for Refugees, Migrants and IDPs, Tijani Ahmed, in Abuja on Wednesday. In a statement released by his Chief Press Secretary, Levinus Onwa-Bogiogu, the Deputy Speaker highlighted the significant impact of natural disasters such as flooding and erosion in contributing to displacements across the region. He also called for an increase in the Commission's annual budget allocation, stressing that adequate funding is essential for the Commission to effectively fulfill its mandates. Let's also tell you about a new report by Kadr Harmonize, led by the federal government and supported by partners including the United Nations World Food Programme, has raised alarm about worsening food security in Nigeria. The report projects that approximately 33.1 million people could face severe food insecurity between June and August 2025. This rise, driven by economic hardship, record high inflation, climate change and violence in northeastern part of the country, represents additional 7 million people compared to the same period last year. Between October and December 2024, around 25.1 million Nigerians are expected to struggle with food insecurity, even during the peak harvest season. Of this figure, 3.8 million reside in the northeastern state, with that number anticipated to increase to 5 million by 2025, a concerning 80% surge. Nigeria's Minister of Communications and Digital Economy has commended international digital company Google for its support to help Nigeria build a digital ecosystem and equip young citizens with skills that will help them participate in the global economy. And this was as the president of Google for Europe, the Middle East and Africa met with Nigeria's Minister of Communications and Digital Economy in Abuja, announcing Google's donation of about 2.8 billion naira to boost AI growth in the country. Our correspondent Amadine Uyi tells us more.
According to technology experts, technology can be a force for progress that can be used to build stronger economies, create better paid jobs, and help nations maintain sustainable impact.
Our mission is to organize the world information, and we want to make it universally accessible and useful. The way I like to say this, we want to make this available to everyone, everywhere. And for us here in Africa, the usefulness is how do we make technology drive economic opportunity for our people. And that's really how we think about it, is that we want technology to unlock economic opportunity for people in Nigeria.
While many admit technology can be a force for good, the application of artificial intelligence in technology upscales its benefits. International consulting firm PricewaterhouseCoopers says that artificial intelligence in technology will contribute about $15.7 trillion. It also adds that this can boost the growth of local economies by 26%. With this in mind, international digital company Google has revealed that it will support Nigeria's economy by investing in artificial intelligence. The president of Google for Europe, the Middle East and Africa, while meeting with Nigeria's Minister of Communications and Digital Economy in Abuja, says that Google will provide 2.8 billion naira to boost AI growth in the country.
Today we're proud to take this commitment a big step further. I'm pleased to announce that Google.org is going to be providing 2.8 billion naira, about $1.7 million in funding to Dr. Bayo. And this is going to be working with the Data Scientists Nigeria organization, supporting the Honourable Minister's vision for AI growth in Nigeria. We're going to be supporting the 3 million technical talents effort for the Communications and Innovations and Digital Economy Ministry, so important. And that focus is going to be equipping 20,000 more young Nigerians with advanced deep tech skills in AI and data science.
The Minister of Communications and Digital Economy, while commending Google for the gesture, says that the support gives Nigeria an opportunity to invest in its digital ecosystem and build skills for youths to help them participate in the global economy.
Artificial intelligence is already here, and this is something I've been saying. It's already here, it is with us. It gives us a unique opportunity to reimagine how we do things, but it's not going to be possible for us to do it if we don't build a strong ecosystem locally. And that's the power of the support that we're getting from Google. We have a good set of young people that are passionate about being part of the global economy. But we have to give them the skill set that they require to be able to participate in that global economy. So this sort of program will give us the opportunity to be able to continue to train, empower, but also place these young people in jobs, meaningful jobs. That's why it's important.
Google says that it is confident that AI can help improve several sectors of the nation's economy, empowering young citizens to improve their livelihoods. In Abuja for News Central, I am Amadine Uyi.
Thank you for staying with us. Botswana has sworn in its new president, Duma Boko, marking a historic change in government after his landslide election victory ousted the party that had been in power for nearly 60 years. Boko, aged 54, took the oath in front of several thousand attendees at the National Stadium in the capital. Presidents from other Southern African countries like Madagascar, Namibia, Zambia, and Zimbabwe attended the ceremony. Boko's left-leaning umbrella for democratic change won 36 seats in parliament in the 30th October election, compared to just 4 seats for the Botswana Democratic Party.
I, Juma Gideon Boko, do swear that I will faithfully and diligently discharge my duties and perform my functions in the high office of the President of the Republic of Botswana.
The U.S. Recent election highlighted key democratic practices that Africa can learn from. The elections witnessed high voter engagement with diverse demographics actively participating, emphasizing the importance of accessible voting. The smooth, transparent vote counting process demonstrated effective system for maintaining trust in election outcomes. Additionally, candidates accepted results without violence, underscoring the importance of peaceful transition. How can Africa improve its own processes from the just concluded U.S. elections? To unravel that, we're joined by Professor Esther Sikanko from the University of Media Arts and Communications in Ghana. Good evening, Prof. Share with us what specific aspects of the U.S. election process could Africa or even, African nations adopt or learn from to improve electoral transparency as well as public trust?
Counted in a very credible way and declared is something that we can learn from, because a lot of times the more there are delays, the more people tend to be anxious and the more it gives room for many other things to be done. Secondly, the opportunities provided for inclusivity for a lot more people to vote. The mail-in ballots, the absentee ballot system was really a good way for many more people to vote, especially those who were not going to be able to come in to vote on election day. So inclusivity was a very big issue. But also, if you look at the campaign, the media was a major part of the process. There was research, the polling, opportunities for citizen participation, the opportunity for citizens to air their views and to be involved in the process. It was a very close process, a very civil process, and so these are some of the things that we could get from it.
Well, talking about inclusivity, just to reference some challenges we may be facing here in Nigeria, we've often hear people complain about people with disability being not given that chance or being disenfranchised from voting. How do you think Africa as a continent can ensure total inclusivity when it comes to elections?
Yeah, so definitely there are very serious challenges that people face when exercising their right to vote. And this is a good time to take a look at some of those challenges, especially when it comes to people who are disabled, people who for the work or other reasons they cannot be available to vote on election day, exploring mail-in ballots, people who can sit in the comfort of their home and then send in their mails. That provides a good opportunity for them. There are many people who also go there and have to stand for long hours, and for health reasons, there are some who cannot go through that process. So I think that expanding the right to vote, making it more easier for people to register to vote is one, making more opportunities available even physically, or the centers, expanding them are also another great way to get people to participate, and also improving the civics within our community, getting more people to care about this enough to be committed to the process, increasing the political socialization and the civic awareness in political activities is another thing that can help to make and improve, enhance democracy on the continent.
I know you touched on sensitization, raising awareness about elections upcoming in different countries, but then beyond sensitization of the people, which could be the role of national orientation agencies in different countries, what role do independent electoral bodies play in ensuring fair elections, and how do you think African governments can strengthen these institutions?
Yeah, the electoral bodies are a very critical and pivotal institution to the conduct of elections. We've seen in African countries, some bodies really do a very good job at making sure that they organize free and fair elections. We've seen that happen in Kenya, we've seen that happen in Ghana, in many other countries. Botswana just swore in presidents. And so I think that there is the need for objectivity and fairness in the conduct of independent electoral bodies, non-politicization, non-partisanship. There should be transparency, improved communication. In Ghana, the EC has made sure that they involve the media in a lot of what they do. And so I do think that that's one way. Increasing transparency, improving communication is one way through which we can ensure legitimacy of the process, bring confidence in the process, and then it will lead to less conflicts and less doubts about the credibility of the election.
Well, you may agree with me that sometimes within the African continent, giving up power may seem to be a tough call for so many African leaders. How important is a peaceful transition of power, and what can African leaders do to foster a culture of acceptance of election results?
Yeah, sorry, I need to go now, but what I'll say is that the peaceful transfer of power is a very important thing when it comes to democracy. It's one of the main reasons that has led to a lot of conflict in Africa because presidents usually do not want to leave after their term of office. And so it comes from the political culture, the importance of increasing the civic awareness, political education, to make sure that people are able to subscribe to those democratic ideals. But of course, we did see in the US that there was a challenge there too, because Donald Trump never accepted the results of the past election. He never said whether he would accept the outcome of the election if he did not win. And so they even have their own problems. It's a problem that cuts across the globe. And it's very important that political literacy levels are increased in order to make sure that we have less and less of this happening. Because once people do not want to leave power, people do not want to transition or abdicate, it's a very big problem.
Well, thank you so much for making our time to speak with us. Professor Edses Nkako from University of Media, Arts and Communications in Ghana. Many thanks indeed for your time.
Thank you very much. Pleasure to be with you.
In business, Aradel is showing strong performance on the NGX today, indicating a possible comeback. Will this rebound be temporary, or has the stock stabilized for continued growth? Earlier on Market Pulse, Daniel Effa, Senior Business Development Manager at Pop Prime Africa, shared his insight on the situation and discussed potential factors driving this movement. We'll try to bring you that in the course of the news. A recent report from Budget, a civic accountability organization, has highlighted the diverse fiscal performance of Nigerian state in 2023. The report, titled State of States 2024, presents a nuanced overview showing that while some states excel in revenue generation and fiscal management, others face significant debt challenges and resource limitations. Rivers, Lagos, and Anambra emerged as leaders in fiscal performance, whereas Bayelsa, Jigawa, and Yobe State ranked at the bottom. On the program Business Edge, Enibong Usen, Head of Research and Policy Advisory at Budget, shared his insight on the topic and the factors that may contribute to the success of top-performing states.
Successively, increase their IGR, or their domestic resource mobilization capacity, year on year. So if you even pick a Zamfara state, for instance, that had the highest growth with regards to IGR year on year, you would see that for personal income tax, they were able to grow their personal income tax by more than 100% year on year. If you look at what they were able to generate from licenses, fees, there was a lot, that the state, there was a lot of improvement by the state year on year. So I would say that some states have made efforts to ramp up IGR, using different approaches, as the case may be. Kaduna used to be the star boy in the last 2-3 states of states, and that's because there was a deliberate attempt by that government to digitize revenue collection. They deprioritized, cash, collection as a method of collecting whether tax or non-tax revenue, and a lot of monitoring with regards to what was collected was done. And so we see that in a number of states, some states like Edo have also adopted, such systems with regards to tax collection across board. So for a number of states, there have been attempts, you know, to ramp up IGR collection, but there's still a lot that can be done by the states as the case may be. So if I come back to the second part of your question as to why the states that did not do well didn't do much well. For those states, the domestic resource mobilization capacity is still very low in those states. What they are able to generate as tax and tax revenue is still below the capacity or the potential of those states. It's also that the states also have, you know, high operating expenses compared to what they have the capacity to mobilize. So if you look at a state like Bayelsa, for instance, even if it has one of the lowest populations amongst the 36 states, it has the third highest operating expense. And so for states like that, to be able to do better, you would either need to prune your operating expenses, whether it's with regards to the reduction in the cost of governance, or you need to ramp up your IGR to the point where it can take care of your operating expense as the case may be. There was also a priority by states that did well with regards to prioritizing
All stages set for the semi-final clash between Nigeria Customs and MFM Basketball Club at the FIBA Africa Zone 3 Women's Club Basketball Qualifiers. Nigeria Customs booked a spot in the last four at the FIBA Zone 3 Africa Women's Basketball League after a huge win against the Commissioners of Liberia in their final group game of the qualifiers. Nigeria Customs will take on reigning Nigeria champions Mountain of Fire Ministries in the semis, while Friends Basketball Association of Ivory Coast take on Energy Basketball of Benin Republic on Saturday, 19th of November. A plane carrying Israeli football supporters brought home from Amsterdam by the government landed on Friday at Israel's Ben Gurion Airport as authorities condemned a night of hateful and anti-Semitic violence. Now, Dutch police said 62 arrests were made as a result of the clashes, which erupted after a Europa League football tie between Amsterdam club Ajax and Maccabi Tel Aviv. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu ordered 2 planes be sent to Netherlands to bring the Israeli fans home, with the first flight of evacuees landing on Friday afternoon. Netanyahu also ordered Israel's Mossad spy agency to draw up a plan to prevent unrest at sporting events in future.
Ce qui s'est passé à Amsterdam, c'est extrêmement grave. C'est un antisémitisme totalement désinhibé et c'est le retour du mal absolu qu'il nous faut impérativement combattre. Pour ce qui concerne le match du 14 novembre prochain.
And that's all on the news. Let's take a look again at some of the major stories. Nigeria Labour Congress backs NUPENG's nationwide strike threat over ejection of workers by military. Political parties sign peace accord ahead of Ondo governorship election. Duma Boko sworn in as Botswana's president after a historic win. You can watch News Central live on DSTV channel 422, Star Times channel 274, Avo TV and YouTube. Many thanks for watching. I am Adebola Adedugba.